So here's an interesting short story all about a guy who's been married for 5 years, and prior to his marriage, he and his now wife were hooking up all the time, okay, like crazy teenagers. And the second they got married and had the wedding, the ceremony, she got the ring and everything, all of a sudden, she lost interest. And now it's gotten so bad that she now has come out and said that she's asexual. And therefore, and expects him to be okay with the situation. However, our guy here, who sounds like he's been incredibly patient and good with her, has had enough. And he's ending it with her and divorcing her over this and giving her very good terms. And she's doing everything she can to fight this and make it very difficult for him, including doing one thing that even had me surprised. Now, if you're going to go over here, guys, to show you that things aren't good in your marriage, your relationship, you have a right finally to walk away and end it, okay? And again, be aware of the old bait and switch. Title: My wife refuses to accept our divorce, and I think she's trying to trick me. He says, my wife, a 29-year-old female, and I, a 34-year-old male, have been married for 4 years. And up until a year and a half ago, things were fantastic. Our marriage began to deteriorate after there was a significant drop in SCX between us. Not intimacy, just the actual SCX part of the relationship. We would still cuddle and have deep, intimate moments, talking and just being around each other, but she kept rejecting my attempts at taking things further past kissing. Oh, wow, how wonderful that you have great cuddle time and intimate conversations. That's not going to substitute the other things. Now, we've had no problem communicating, so I made sure to address it clearly, and we talked and made adjustments. What adjustments were those? We both made sure to stay in shape. We tried being more adventurous. We went to couples therapy and counseling, and even tested both our hormone levels. Everything was normal. Each solution would work for a little while, and then we'd be back to having SCX maybe once a month. I asked her several times if she was no longer attracted to me, to which she denied every time. I asked her if I was falling short in the relationship in any way, which she said no. So, this guy is really putting up a lot. But, if you're not getting any, you got a right to have an issue with this, Now, I believe they don't have kids, thank the Lord. Well, about a month ago, she gets back from her therapy session and tells me she believes that she's asexual, and that's the reason for her libido being non-existent as of late. I was definitely confused because we had such a great SCX life for a while in the beginning of our relationship, but her telling me that she's now asexual was heartbreaking because everything else is great. Well, how interesting that in the beginning of the relationship when they were not married, he said their SCX life was great. And then magically, because it must be pure coincidence, the second he put a ring on her finger, and she had her big ceremony and the big party, and now is enjoying the lifestyle he provides because this guy makes very good money, which you'll find out in a second. All of a sudden, oh, never mind, I'm asexual. A lot of guys that are married that have dead bedrooms are like, yep, we've heard this before. Obviously, I'm not going to try to force her to have SCX, so we had a long conversation about our relationship, and I came to the conclusion that we should get a divorce. I'm sure that floored her. I say I because she immediately rejected the idea and said we would figure something out and wouldn't talk to me about it anymore. Look, this guy's needs aren't being met, and if she isn't willing to do that, and of course no one should be forced to do something physically, let me make that clear, but it's not going to work now. I didn't know what to say, so I dropped it. Well, 3 weeks ago, without SCX, I decided that I would have to do this my own mental well-being, so I filed for divorce and I had her served with the papers. Last week, when I got home from work, she was going about the day like nothing was wrong. I asked her if she had signed the papers, and she flat out said, "We are not getting a divorce," and changed the subject and acted like things were normal. She's 29 years old. 4 years she's been married to this guy, and wait till you see what she's going to get what he's proposed in the divorce. No, honey, I'm not going the rest of my life without getting any. Obviously, I thought this was crazy, so I stopped her and said I couldn't be in a marriage devoid of sex, and I mentioned that I was being incredibly fair with our divorce. Now listen to what she's getting from this divorce of only 4 years of marriage. This is going to make you guys want to pull your hair out. He says she can keep the house that we bought and paid for with cash. She paid 1/3, I paid 2/3. I'll take all of the debt, which isn't much. We'd split our savings and investments in half, and she can keep 2 of our 3 paid-for cars. I only want to keep my sports car. Thankfully, we don't have kids. I love her and wanted her to be comfortable, and I have no problem starting over since I make a good income, but she won't budge or talk about the divorce. 4 years married to this guy, and she's going to get a house that's free and clear paid for. I mean, yeah, she has to pay property taxes and homeowners insurance, but in terms of that's it, she owns it, and she only paid 1/3 of that. In 4 years, she gets the house free and clear, and 2 cars fully paid for, and half the savings and investments, and he's going to take care of any credit card debt or whatever debt she may have. What a steal of a deal. This chick, if she's operating from the business perspective, can say, shit, I'll take this deal, and then I'll go find some other sucker to marry, and then do the same thing, rinse, repeat, recycle, whatever that term is, right? She's getting a hell of a deal here. He wants her out. This brings us to 2 days ago. I get home and go to our bedroom and find my wife's friend, a 27-year-old female, in our bed naked. Well, you guys thinking what I'm thinking here? I guess she's not asexual after all. But listen to this. I immediately shut the door and said sorry and went looking for my wife. Why are you saying sorry? There's some naked bimbo in your bed. I found my wife in the kitchen and asked her what her friend was doing here, and she said that she was here for me. I put 2 and 2 together and said that I'm not having sex with other women in place of the woman I chose to marry. I smell setup here, guys. How about you? She knows darn well that you're not going to sleep with this woman. Come on. She was adamant on saying that I could sleep with her whenever I wanted, and that's what her friend agreed to. Uh-huh. Sure. I couldn't believe things would get this far, so I went back to our bedroom and asked her for her friend to leave. I packed a bag, and I've been staying in a hotel nearby since that night. My wife, her mother, and her sister keep calling me, but I'm just not interested in hearing what they have to say. This feels like a trick. I just want this whole thing to be over with. Does anyone have advice? Is there some kind of ploy for alimony? We do have a prenup. Should I just contact my lawyer and try to enforce the divorce? I'm really uncomfortable with this entire situation. Yes, talk to your lawyer and get this thing moving. Okay? That whole thing with the woman in the bed is a trick. I think this whole marriage was a fucking trick. I think she's a con artist, you know? Again, look at the deal he offered her. And she'd walk away and get all that, and she's 29. Believe me, she can find another guy to pull this trick on every 5 years and make out like a bandit. How do you know her friend isn't involved? But this guy, he's ending it with her and moving on. But if he wasn't, he'd have to do some serious PI work, because I do not believe going from total effing like Catholic rabbits to all of a sudden nothing, and her no interest, oh, I'm asexual. She's probably getting it someplace else. Maybe with her friend, who knows? But he needs to move on from this, and that's that. Now, a few comments here real quick. One says here, just because she doesn't sign doesn't mean the divorce can't go through. I would call your lawyer and see what needs to be done to force the divorce. She's only trying to avoid the divorce so she isn't alone and has to do everything on her own and support herself. She's just definitely trying to delay the divorce by manipulating you. Of course. Another guy says here, I'm thinking that there is more to her grasping at straws to keep the marriage than a trick. If you're strictly monogamous, same here, then this solution of hers is a non-starter. Sure, she came out as asexual, but that doesn't mean she gets to tie you down for life if your needs are not being met by the person you married. This is one of the best reasons to separate. And since there isn't good compromise that works for both parties involved, you've been very generous in the terms of the divorce paperwork. This guy has been beyond generous. Honestly, at this point, if she refuses to discuss it and tries to hold you hostage, which she is doing, then I think your only resource is to force the divorce. Throwing her friend at you may seem as a compromise to some, but to those who don't sleep with anyone else but their significant other, it's insulting, belittling, especially when they vow to be faithful. Divorce is always better than cheating. Good luck, OP. Yeah, good luck to him, but yeah, this was different. The gal in the bed. When I first read this, I'm thinking, okay, this is her lover, and the wife didn't realize he was coming home. No, here you go, honey. This is for you. Get the fuck out of here. This is a trick. That's it. It's over. Move on.